Webmaster tools have become a vital part of website management. The search engines are making it more accessible to find out crawl rates, success, or problems that are happening with our websites. And so I recommend to take full advantage of the Webmaster tools provided by both Google and Bing. We're going to look at Google's Webmaster tools, and the first thing you'll see in the dashboard is a crawl error status. That's the vital thing that you need to see because it will alert you that if there are problems with the search engines. We're going to look at a couple of configuration options. The first is settings. Settings is where you determine how you want your URL to be displayed. Now, I'll usually try and manage this through a redirect rather than simply doing it on Google, because through a redirect, I do it for every search engine, not just for Google. And by this, I mean redirect the non-www version of the domain to the www version of the domain. I will do that through a 301 redirect, saying that if anyone types in the domain without the W's, they get sent to that, and that will include search engines. If you only rely on Google to redirect that, it won't work for other search engines. So this is just specifically for Google. There's a crawl rate, and the default is to let Google optimize the crawl rate for your site, or you can limit the maximum crawl rate. If you notice that Google is coming to your site too often and is putting too much of a strain on your server by delivering all of those pages, you can limit that. Don't mess around with the setting too much, and it's probably best just to let the recommended default settings stay. Now, I talked a little bit about redirects, and that's something to keep in mind, especially if you change your domain, or you change the location of your home page, or any of the pages on your site. This is where you can tell Google your new domain. So use the redirect, as Google has given here in the instructions, that you can redirect your content using a 301 redirect. And being very helpful, you'll notice that's a link. It'll take you to a page which explains redirects more in detail and how to set them up. So not just Google understands that you've changed your address or your domain, but every search engine and browser will be able to find that change of address and follow that. The next thing that I'm interested in is the health of the domain. Here's where we can go in and see if there are any crawl errors. Google does a good job of letting you know if there are some, and also giving you a nice pat on the back in case you have not had any crawl errors. We can also look at crawl stats, and you can see how many pages per day that Google is downloading from your website, and then also how much information is being downloaded from your server. So if you see that your server is being hit too hard by Google's crawlers, you can scale that down if you need to. I also like to look at the index status, looking at the amount of pages that have been in Google's database from my website. And I can see that I have done some domain management, had a little bit of pages that I didn't think were relevant, that may have been some duplicate content, and I took that down. It's probably a little accident here, and so you want to be sure that that is something that you didn't cause, but chances are sometimes Google makes mistakes, and you'll notice that a couple days later, it was right back up where it usually is. The next tab is the traffic tab. And I always like going to the search queries, because this is where you get a little different information than your ranking program will provide. It will show you how many times your website has shown up in the search engine results page. So about 500,000 times in this time period, my website has shown up in the search results. And out of that, I got about 4,500 clicks on my result compared to impressions. We can also look at my keywords, the amount of times that keyword has been presented as a search engine result, the amount of clicks that were received, and the click-through rate, and the average position for that keyword. And so you can get a great sense from Google of how many times your keywords are showing up, how many times they're being clicked on, and the average position that they're appearing in Google. This is a great way to look alongside of your other ranking reports and your analytics to get a sense of how well you're doing and any improvement that needs to be done. That's just a quick overview of Google Webmaster Tools, but I challenge you to get in, set up your own domain, and just start getting involved in looking at the reports and troubleshooting your website. That's going to be the best way for you to learn.